Hello, my name is Mooincat and welcome back to yet another video on the St. Patrick's Day event. In this video I will answer a question that quite a few people have been asking, especially at this stage of the event, and that is, I am running out of pots of gold, what should I do? Have I messed things up? So in this video I will answer that question. I will first go over what I think is the most likely reason for this and why that is perfectly fine. But then I will also go over reasons why you might actually have messed things up a little bit and how you can try to correct if that is the case. So first of all, let's talk about the main reason I think for why you are low on pots. And that is simply because, like me in this town here, you have done too many towns for this stage of the event. We are now roughly 1/3 of the way through the event, but by now you probably have completed more than 1/3 of the towns you need for your strategy. So as I go over in quite a few other videos, you can find all of my different strategies, but for my strategies you need to complete between 3 and 17 towns depending on what you do. But for all of these are the number of towns you need to have completed by this stage of the event. So we are roughly 1/3 of the way through the event, 1 out of 3 weeks, which means that if you're doing the 3-town strategy, for example, by now you only need to have completed 1 town. Then if you move up, if you go for the 10-town strategy, for example, that I'm sure a lot of you are doing for the Druid's Temple, here by now you only needed to have completed 3 1/3 towns. But by this stage of the event it is very possible, and I'm sure a lot of you have completed 4 or 5 or 6 or even 7 towns, and that means that you're simply ahead of schedule. You have completed more towns than you need to at this point, but that is perfectly fine. It simply means that you need to slow down now. It means that you need to wait until you get more pots before you can really get going again. So by now, from quests and so on, you should be able to get around, or should have been able to get around 6,000 pots, but in total you should be able to get 11,000 pots. So from the remaining 2 weeks, from quests and milestone rewards and so on, you should still get another 5,000 pots. So you have plenty of pots to come. So if you have done more towns than you need to, and if you're low on pots, then you simply have to wait until you get those pots. There is no problem at all doing a lot of towns early on in the event. That is perfectly fine. It just means that for the remaining towns you need to take it slower. You need to either spend more time in the town to complete a few additional tasks, or simply wait after each town before you can continue again. So all of that is perfectly fine. And in case you didn't know, when you have continued after a town, so when I'm ready, when I have moved on, when I get to the screen where I can open all boxes, you can exit out of the window without continuing to the next town, and then the next town you open the window again, you will come back there. So that way, if you want to buy more boxes but you're out of pots, you can resume later on when you've gotten those pots. And speaking of that, in 2 days, or a little bit under 2 days, and by the time you're watching this, probably sooner, we will get these 1,400 pots of gold from the milestone if you're caught up on quests. That means that you will quickly get a lot of pots again, and you can use those again. But again, you do probably have to slow down if you've done a lot of towns by now. So that is probably the main reason why you have too few pots at the moment, and that is perfectly fine. Simply slow down. Now, another reason why you might have too few pots at the moment is that you have bought too many boxes, or you have spent too many pots on managers. So for my strategies, these are the manager levels that I recommend. You can find them in a lot of places. You can find them here on a spreadsheet. You can also find them on my website. You can find them here. These are my recommended manager levels. But if you have bought more than this, then you have spent more pots of gold than I recommend. And if you have bought a lot more, then you might have bought too many, and you might be too low on pots, and that might cause some problems. Now, if that is the case, or if, for example, you have, if you have bought all 6 boxes or bought more boxes than necessary, or than you are supposed to, that might also mean that you have spent too many pots at this point of the event. Now, that might be an issue, but it might also be okay. So let's say your initial goal was to play 10 towns in order to get the Druid Temple, for example. So with that strategy, you are supposed to buy all 6 boxes once or twice depending on if you have the event surprise box or not. But let's say by now you have completed 5 towns, for example, and you have bought 6 out of 6 boxes 3 times. That is probably too many times. That probably means that you will struggle having enough pots to complete the remaining towns, to buy the managers in the remaining towns. So if that is the case, you have 2 options. You can either spend diamond to get some more pots of gold, or you can move down in strategies. Now what do I mean by that? Well, I simply mean move down from the 10 town to the 7 town strategy. For each strategy you move down, you are able to, or you should buy 6 out of 6 boxes one more time, at least over here. So that means that by moving down, the extra boxes you have bought are factored into the cost for the actual strategy, and that means that you will probably still be fine. And again, this depends on how many times you have bought additional boxes, but if you are somewhere within the number of boxes here, you should be fine simply moving down to the previous strategy. Now, of course, if you're going for 10 Druid Temple selection kits, for example, that does mean that you will get fewer of those, but here you have to decide if you want that, or if you want to risk not getting the Celtic farmstead fully leveled. And that is up to you, that you have to decide there. So if you have overspent, then you should try to move down in strategies where you are able to spend more on boxes, and that might be able to help it. But if that is not able to help it, if you have spent too many pots for that, then I'm afraid the only option is to either hope you get a lot from incidents, a lot of pots there, or to spend the remaining pots you need from with the diamonds. But again, as I said, for most of you, you are probably still fine. You'll probably just have to wait until you get more pots before you continue. And again, you do have 5,000 pots that you can get from the remaining quests for the upcoming 2 weeks. So still plenty of time in the event. You are probably perfectly fine. Alright, before I end this video, I would like to thank my Patreons for supporting my content and my new website. I would like to thank Homestar, Fort Prefect, Lorden, Rockin' Robin, Kim Cayley, Joshua Clark, Merrick B, Arthur, Hugo Kant von Kant, Jan Fredriksen, Judith Generous, Filda, Rush, Susan Weiss, Megarock, Rocco, Henrik Derek Lerbe, Mattia, Optree the Obsessed, Wrath, and Kim. Thank you all very much for your support. Thanks for watching, take care, I hope you're doing well in the event, and hopefully this answered some of your questions. Alright, take care, and I will see you in the future.